Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I have to be perfectly honest. I am not a guest speaker. I was truly hoping you wouldn't show up. No, thank you so much. I'd like to thank Sono for having me come back this year. I've met a lot of people, and it's been an incredible privilege. Before we get into the 1 Hour MBA, I would like to tell you an experience I had this past year with your industry. I volunteered to work in a hospice situation and got to see it up front, close and personal. And I got to tell you, I want to take my hat off to everybody in this industry. You guys are amazing. You deserve a big round of applause for yourself. Let's do it. Thank you so much. Hall asked, Andrew was talking about being from North Carolina, you know, where's the y'all? Well, I'm from Oklahoma, I'll take care of it. Got a lot of those in my accent. To truly understand the 1 Hour MBA, I want to kind of tell you the journey a little bit about it so you'll understand how it came about. And you don't have to take any notes. After it's over, there's a book outside for everybody, and everything I talk about is in that book. I got out of high school, went to the military, got out of the military, and started my professional career, started climbing the corporate ladder, went to work for a company called Oklahoma Gas and Electric in Oklahoma City. Started as a meter reader. You can't get much lower on a total pole than that. That was back in the days when you had this big book, you'd read 300 to 500 meters, jumping fences, being chased by dogs, and that was just crazy. And so anyway, I started climbing the corporate ladder, started going to college at night. Went to college at night full time, got my bachelor's degree, in 4 years went on and got my MBA. And ended up working in a very, very difficult industry. I was what was known as a turnaround manager, a guy that they would send into a $60,000 manufacturing plant that's bleeding money and losing, and turn it around. It was an incredibly difficult job because you were dealing with unions. Andrew talked about employees, and this started the beginning of what became the 1 Hour MBA. So I was running a plant out in South Carolina, and it was a disaster. It was just a nightmare. I'm working 10 and 12-hour days. Debbie, my beautiful wife, yes, I know, I'm married up. Debbie, my beautiful wife, said, Nick, this is going to catch up with you, man. If you don't slow down, if you don't do something, this is going to get you. And so you can imagine the morning that I walked into our kitchen. Now I'm a vice president level. I've got, what we used to call the golden parachute. I'm not sure it was real golden, but we used to call it that. And walked into our kitchen that morning in South Carolina and said, Debbie, are you ready for this? Let's go to Dallas, Texas and open a baseball card store. Now I'm truly married to the kind of lady that if I pulled up on a $40,000, $50,000 Harley Davidson motorcycle, the only thing she would ever say is, where's my helmet? And so she said, I'll start packing. So we walked away from the corporate world and we drive to Dallas, Texas, and we find this little 1,000 square foot retail store in a strip shopping center, and learned a lot of lessons. Number one lesson, it was only 700 square feet of it was sell space. We couldn't fill that up. So we built a false wall. Lesson number one, fake it till you make it. And so that's how we got started. And the next biggest mistake I made was just doing what our competition did. We opened that store at the height of the baseball card hobby, 1989. And the sales were so good, it was covering our mistakes. The cash flow was coming in. We had no idea what we were doing. I never did retail in my life. The second lesson I learned about retail, you have to be nice. I came out of manufacturing. What's that all about? So I had to learn. I had to change my whole mind, everything I did. And so we're doing fine, but there's a storm coming. We didn't know it. When we opened that store, we had 125 stores already in the Dallas Metroplex. There's no way that we should have survived. Selling baseball cards, are you kidding? There's no way. But we just believed in it. We knew we could do it. Well, this storm comes, and in 1994, baseball went on strike. And it destroyed our industry. It destroyed our business. And 80% of our sales was baseball cards. At the time, we were really just starting to get into the other sports, basketball, football, hockey. And Debbie and I sat down, we watched our competition close on a daily basis. And we sat down and we just said, if we can just hang on, get some other sources of income, do without, we can make this. It'll come back. We believe that. And so Debbie, I don't know if you know her or not, she's an artist, and she came up with an idea of painting pumpkins, faces on pumpkins during the Halloween season. She started a good little business on the side, and she would sell them to the pumpkin patches and grocery stores. It was weird because our neighbors would look at us and go, why does Nick have 400 pumpkins in his front yard? And she also started cleaning people's houses. The guy that was the best man in our wedding he was a professional golfer. He won the PGA and the US Open. And his hobby was building and repairing golf clubs. And I went to him and said, David, would you teach me how to build and repair golf clubs? He said, sure. And so we had a sign in the back of our store, Nick's Better Golf or something like that. And so I started repairing golf clubs, kept our store going, and we did without. I mean, no hamburgers, no Cokes, no movies. We sacrificed. We did nothing. And then I got a job as an adjunct professor teaching college. And so we're sitting here and we're just hanging on, just making it. Our competition's closing. And this another lesson that I learned, the road to bankruptcy is paved with pride. Our competitors they were too proud to do what it took to keep that business open. And we weren't. We were really willing to do the dirty work. And it paid off because when the storm was over, which was about, 3 to 4 years, Deb? When it was over, there was only 6 of those 125 stores left. That's how devastating that strike against baseball was. And we were the only store left in the city of Dallas, and that business came back, and it came back with a vengeance. And because of what we did, and because of what I'm going to teach you today, we were successful. We had it for 27 years. I sold it in 2016. Moved to Tulsa, and been teaching the 1 Hour MBA ever since. Well, with that said, before we get into the 1 Hour MBA, there's a couple of things we have to do. First of all, you're going to have to participate. All right, everybody, you'll see how in here in just a minute. And the second thing is get your phones out. We've got to do some real high-level mathematics. Yeah, big time. 3rd, 4th grade math problem. Mark sent me a white paper the other day, and it was really involved in had a big calculus problem, and I looked at it and just sent it back, said no. No, thank you. You know, who had business courses in college? You guys remember those? Accounting 1, Accounting 2, college algebra, finance, statistics, business calculus. Remember the accounting equation? Assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Got that? Forget it. Okay. You don't need that right now. I'm going to teach you the one math formula that you need to know to be truly successful in business, or at least help you be successful and help you make better business decisions. And that was one of the problems that we had. We weren't making good business decisions. I had the education, I had the experience, but we weren't really able to make good business decisions because we were just following the competition. We figured out real quick, we had to be better than our competition, much better. And we started waking up every day, going in with this drive, this determination, this fire to just be the best. And everything we tried to do was just to be the best, to be better than any of our competition. And so here's the deal. I had to figure out a way to make better decisions, especially when it came to spending money. You know, my competitors, the ones that closed, the ones that didn't make it, they weren't really business people. They were hobbyists. They were collectors. And once they truly had to know how to run a business, you know, who said make payroll. You know, if you've never had to make payroll, that's a whole different world. And so we started making our financial decisions using this little formula. Ready? It's called margin. Now, for some reason, it seems to scare a lot of people, that word margin. It just means percent. That's all it is. You know, we talk about profit, we talk about margin, but I don't think we really put them together. And there's a big relationship between profit margin and decision making. And we started using this, and it really helped us become one of the biggest card stores in the United States. We had it for 27 years. We turned it into a national brand. It still exists today. And so I want to share this with you because you really can't talk or discuss business until you're able to discuss profit margin. You know, when I started teaching college, I would have a student come into my classroom, and I might be teaching marketing. A student come in, I said, what class did you come out of? Accounting? Can you tell me the relationship between accounting and marketing? And no. I didn't really expect them to. I might be teaching economics, student come in my class. What class you just come out of? Marketing? Well, can you tell me the relationship between marketing and economics? No. Well, we don't teach business that way. You know, you have your accounting kids, you have your finance kids, you have your marketing kids. So I needed to come up with a way to teach my students business that wasn't boring and they could actually take and use in the real world. And the result of that was what we know now as the 1 Hour MBA. So here we go. We have to be able to calculate profit margin before we can truly make intelligent business decisions. And here it is. It's pretty simple. It's sales minus cost divided by sales. Now, another thing that led to this is not only did my students not understand it, but my job was, I was like a bartender. I would have people come in and tell me their life stories and talk to me about business. And I mean, it was literally, I was Sam Malone at Cheers. And I would be visiting with a customer that owned their own business and say, hey, how's your business doing? It's doing great. Yeah, what kind of margin you guys operate on? Oh, we're doing 40%. I said, really? 40%? He goes, yeah, we mark our product up 40%. And as soon as he said that, I went, oh man. He thought he was making 40%. And this happened numerous times. I'm going, if you mark your product up 40%, you can't be making 40%. That's mathematically impossible. And so, of course, I can't say that to a customer. I just had to pretty much listen. And so here it is, the formula to calculate profit margin. Sales minus cost divided by sales. So let's just see how it works in the real world. Let's just take some fictitious numbers. Let's say that you guys all work for me. I own this company. I'll make it up. We make chairs. And we sell our chairs for $49. So you got the chairs, right? 49 bucks. What's our sale price? Our cost is 35. It says cost minus sales. So 49 minus 35 should equal 14 bucks, right? Got your calculators out? The formula says sales minus cost divided by sales. So if you do that, it's going to turn into a percent. Should be about 0.28 and some change. We're good? Everybody got that? Let's round it to 2.29. Okay? Now, I'm a really good boss. I'm a great owner. And so I pay half of your health insurance. And I'm giving you an example of how to use the power of profit margin in making business decisions. So health insurance today, we know it's expensive. We know it is. You can't get near decent health insurance per employee, $600-700 a month. So let's say that I pay half of your health insurance. And once I learned this, our whole world started to change. When I started making business decisions using this, then we were able to make much better business decisions. So I pay $300 of your health insurance, take $300. Now we know that this business, this fictitious chair company that we have, operates off of a 29% profit margin. Take 300 divided by 0.29. 13 something. How much is it? $1,034. Just say $1,300 or $1,000 or whatever. Yeah. But here's what that means. Just for me to pay for half of your health insurance, I have to do that much money in revenue just to pay for it, and I haven't made a dime's profit. Think about that. But you know what? There's another way to use it too that works really just the same way. Chad, you work for me. You're an outstanding employee, one of the kind that Andrew was talking about. And you come to me and you go, hey Nick, I've got an idea that can save us $200 a month. Well, really? That's awesome. What is it? Well, if we'll do this instead of doing this, we'll save $200 a month. So we tested that. Sure enough, Chad's right. Now take 200 and divide it by 0.29. How much?
$689.
Okay, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's equivalent to bringing in $689 in revenue. I mean, it really is. That's the relationship between margin and revenue in making sound business decisions. We don't teach it in college. We don't teach it anywhere that I know of, okay? But it will work, and it will allow you to make better business decisions. Now, we had to get through that part to get into the 1 Hour MBA. And the 1 Hour MBA, best way I know how to explain it. You guys ever heard of a football coach called Vince Lombardi? Yeah, Green Bay Packers, one of the greatest coaches of all time. So the Packers had lost to an inferior opponent that they should have never lost to. And the next Monday morning after the Sunday game, Vince brings both the offense and the defense together, and he says, guys, he holds up a football. He said, this is a football. We're going to learn how to block and tackle. And that's what's behind the 1 Hour MBA. We've either forgotten about the basics of business, or we never knew them in the first place. I think what really happens is we get up and we fight fires and we deal with all these issues, and we're handling all the new technology, and we have a tendency to forget the basics of business. Okay, so you guys ready to get your 1 Hour MBAs?
Yeah.
Here we go. The 1 Hour MBA is a formula, and it says the truth plus marketing plus economics plus a reward, plus the secret equals a reward. And what all that means is, and I'm getting ready to tell you the truth, and once I tell you what the formula means is, okay, you know the truth, but you can't do it if you do not understand and apply the principles of marketing. And you can't do that if you do not understand the economic world in which we live. And you can't do that if our business and our employees don't have what I call the secret. Okay? The truth. The truth is we are in business for one reason only: make money. That's right. We're in business to make money. And when we do, we create wealth, we add jobs, we change people's lives. I mean, it's incredible what we can do when we have a business and we make money. We can grow that business, hire more people. You know, it's amazing. But for some reason, sometimes you say, oh, make money. You shouldn't be talking about that. Are you kidding me? That's what we want to do in business. There's only two types of businesses. There's one that sells a product, and one that sells a service, provides a service. The only difference between the two, and look, I don't want you to get all caught up in the accounting. This is an abbreviated P&L statement, and the regular employee, the managers, this is pretty much all you need to know to be successful in business. The only difference between these two P&L statements is an acronym COGS. It stands for cost of goods sold. I don't even care if you remember it or not. It's just basically the cost of the item that you're selling. For those of you with an accounting background, I need to explain two things. I use sales, not revenue, and the reason that I do is because all sales are revenue, but not all revenue is sales. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you win a lawsuit and you have money coming in, that's revenue. It's not have anything to do with sales. Your typical everyday employee, your manager, people working every day, don't really have anything to do with that lawsuit, but they can impact sales every day. And I know there's a formula to calculate cost of goods sold. It's not really important. But here's what is important. There's a little acronym up here called NIBT. It stands for net income before tax. And that's the golden egg of business. Now, it takes 125 college hours to get what I'm getting ready to teach you. There's only three things we can do to increase that number. There's only three. We can increase sales, we can lower cost, and we can increase productivity. That's it. There's really not anything else there. That's all we do. You know, another thing I need to warn you about the 1 Hour MBA is it can be a little harsh. And it's that way for a reason. You know, I was in college, I had a professor, and I don't know if there's an ounce of truth to this, but I had a professor said back in the days of Socrates, when they would teach their students and they didn't write anything down, if he wanted them to remember it, he would tell them and then slap them. Well, of course, I can't do that. That wouldn't work out well. So I use some of the harshness just so you'll remember. And here's one of them. So if it's true, we're in business to make profit. And there's only three ways: increase sales, lower costs, and increase productivity. An employee that comes to work without that mindset, gotta go. That's waste. Waste gotta be removed. I know it sounds harsh, okay? And it's just to get you to think about that. Why would we carry an employee in our organization that didn't do that? Now, I did. I admit it. What you're going to see in the 1 Hour MBA is 45 years of my mistakes and successes. And I carried some employees that I shouldn't have carried. I look back on it now and I kind of wish I hadn't have done that. Because when you do that, the end result of it is it hurts the organization, it hurts everybody else. But most of all, it hurts your brand. Okay? Now, why are we in business?
Make money.
Okay, that's pretty good, not bad. Now I came all the way from Tulsa. Let's do it one more time. Why are we in business? Make money, you got it. What's the golden egg of business? What number are we trying to increase? Net income before tax. There's only three ways. Increase,
Sales,
lower,
cost,
increase.
productivity.
You got it. Okay, this is a secret. Don't tell anybody. You know, I told you the formula is sales minus cost divided by sales. If you just take this number right here and divide it by that number, it's the same thing. Just take bottom line, divide it by top line, you get margin. And that's the number you want. You know, we never talk dollars in business. Dollars, they don't mean anything. We only talk percents. And the reason that we do is because you can't compare yourself to the industry standard if you talk dollars. You can't compare yourself to the competition if you just talk dollars. You have to talk percents. And now we just did one here, 29% profit margin. You know, when we owned our store, this only happened to us once, and we got broken into in the middle of the night. Now these idiots break into a store where there's thousands and thousands of dollars of vintage sports cards and memorabilia, and they steal our TV and cash register. Really? How smart's that? Well, we needed to buy a new cash register. And this is the best example I can give you of how we truly turned our business. And the great thing about the 1 Hour MBA, I don't care, it applies to every business in the world. Hospice, hospitals, hot dog stand, doesn't matter. The math is all the same, the theory is all the same. So the cash register that we wanted to buy was $400. And when we started thinking this way, then we really truly started beating our competition. So take $400 and divide it by 0.29. How much is that?
About $1,400, $1,379.
Now what that meant is for us to go buy that cash register, we had to do $1,400 in revenue to pay for it. Start thinking that way, and it will make your business decisions a little easier, okay? Or maybe at least a little better. Why are we in business?
Make money.
What number are we trying to increase?
Net income before tax.
There's only three ways. Increase,
Sales,
lower,
cost,
increase productivity.
productivity.
That's right. Okay, you know, we talk about making money. One of my favorite quotes is from one of my favorite economists, a guy named Milton Friedman. And Milton Friedman said that a business has only one social responsibility, and that is to engage in activities that increases profits as long as it stays within the rules of the game, which is to say that it engages in free and fair and open competition without worrying about retribution. But what that means is if you have to cheat your customers, that's not profit. That's ill-gotten gains. There's a big difference between that. And customers, we cheat our customers every day, all day long. I see businesses do it. We've all probably been cheated before. And I mean, think about that for just a second. You know, before we move on to marketing, I always like to think about these info commercials. Thank you. I got brain dead there for a minute. Okay, have you ever seen those info commercials? Now, we talk about cheating customers. We cheat our customers in all kinds of different ways. Not honoring a warranty, switching bait, even though it's illegal. All right? Well, here's my favorite one. I made this up, by the way. Have you ever heard of you seen those infomercials on late at night? You know, call us now. And so here's the infomercial for the Dirty Diaper Baby Company. All right? This is it. They come on TV. Hey, this is the Dirty Diaper Baby Company. We'd like to introduce our new Super Duper Pooper Scooper. You can get it for $9.99 today. And if you call within the next hour, not only will you get one Super Duper Pooper Scooper for $9.99, you'll get two plus shipping and handling. And if you're in one of the first 30 callers, not only will you get two Super Duper Pooper Scoopers for $9.99, we'll throw in a free can of Ass Don't Smell. Yeah, you know, cheating, when businesses cheat customers, I know morals, values, and ethics can be subjective. That is a classic example. they're not selling a product, they're selling freight. You know, the freight's $49.95 to buy that $9 item. Is that legal? Is that moral? I don't know. I just want you to think about it. But we need to think about all of our business practices and how we do it. Okay, so the truth is we're in business to do what? The number we care about is? There's only 3 ways to increase that number. Lower, increase productivity. You got it. But it says you can't do it if you do not apply the principles of marketing. And I stand in amazement of how many people, how many businesses, and some very successful, don't really understand marketing. You know, when I was in college, I took a course called Marketing and Research, and I actually went out and around Oklahoma City and asked one question: give me your definition of marketing. And the results were all the same. Oh, it's promotion, it's sales, you know, it's communication, it's service. You know, those are all great arguments for marketing. That's not what marketing is all about. I'm getting ready to teach you what marketing is all about. But here's the number 1 rule. Everything we do in business is marketing. The smallest details, the tiniest thing. Once a customer recognizes our business, marketing starts. Okay? And all roads lead to our brand image. Everything we do leads to our brand. We do stuff that hurts our brand, and we do stuff that helps our brand. But if we can get all of the employees to buy in to the fact that they are just as responsible for marketing than anybody else, then all that will do is help our brand. You know, I ran a college in Tulsa, and I was talking with the marketing manager, and I said, Joe, you realize you have more employees than anybody in this whole place? He goes, what are you talking about? You're the director. And I said, nope. Everybody reports to the marketing manager. If they don't, they need to go, because we're all responsible for marketing. 1 Hour MBA definition of marketing. Marketing is the identification of a target market where we use keyword, the appropriate blend of the marketing mix, which is product, place, price, and promotion, in order to, another key word, satisfy the needs and the wants of the target. And we'll break that down and talk about it. The 1 Hour MBA is divided into 2 sections with marketing. This is the definition. The identification of a target market. That's just our customer. Now, I was reading this not too long ago. 80% of all businesses started today are going to fail in the first 3 to 5 years. 80%. Think of all the money gone, the dreams. It's amazing. Running and owning a business is tough. It's not for the weak. One of those reasons that they fail, somebody comes up with a great idea for a product or service, and they try to go find somebody to buy it. It's not how it works, folks. They're doomed from the get-go. What you do is find a need or a want and go find a way to satisfy it. Either do it better than somebody's already doing it. I was listening to Mark in his speech earlier, and I was thinking, I always make the statement, and this goes right in line with what Mark's talk was about. You know, if I was going to own a Mexican restaurant in Tulsa, I would go to every Mexican restaurant and see what they do best. Every one of them. And find out what they do best. And then incorporate it into my business. Well, that's what Debbie and I did really. We just started looking at our competition. What were they great at? What weren't they good at? You know, it's easy. I know it's easy for me to stand up here and say that, but it's much more easy if management and everybody else buys into the marketing philosophy of a business. The identification of the target market, where we use the appropriate blend of the marketing mix. What that means is you have to identify what's the strong part of your business. What is the best part? You know, is it your product? Is it where you buy your product? And remember, product and service in the 1 hour, they're synonymous. They just mean the same thing, okay? The guy that was the best man at our wedding, I told you, was a professional golfer. And he had won the U.S. Open. And he was on the cover. He ended up on the cover of a famous golf magazine. And his wife, Maureen, was giving him a hug. And she was wearing a Rolex. But it wasn't a presidential Rolex. Now, Rolex doesn't care about that golfer. They could care less about him, but they do care about their product, and they do care about their image, and they do care about their brand. And you're never going to see Rolex emphasize price in their marketing. So after he won that tournament, 3 or 4 weeks later, a courier shows up in Dallas, Texas with a presidential Rolex, because this is their thought process. They didn't care about that golfer. This is what they were thinking. Okay, he won the Open, he won the PGA, he's going to win more tournaments, he's going to be on the cover of more magazines, right? And that's they wanted that watch up there. They wanted that presidential Rolex. So, and this is changing, just like Mark was talking about earlier, the adjustments. This is constantly changing. It changes because of economy, because of competition, and when I talk about change, how we're going to emphasize each and every one of these. Another key word is to satisfy the needs and wants. You hear the word create. It's satisfy. You can't create a need. No one ever has, and no one ever will. You'll never see a marketing book with a chapter, Create Needs 101. It's not going to happen. Needs come out of evolution, change, the environment, the economy. I mean, just think about the internet. What needs have come out of the internet? It's amazing. The need for security, the need for identity theft. And people are, every day, new needs are coming out, and their businesses are finding a way to satisfy those needs and those wants. We can create wants all day long, but you can't create a need. I'll give you an example. We need water. That need came from God, nature. But we can make you want to buy our bottled water. How? By using the appropriate blend of the marketing mix. Okay, if you have a business and you sell a product and you have excess inventory, you need to get rid of it, and you need to get rid of it fast, then your marketing, you're going to emphasize price, you're going to lower that price. That's all it is. I can teach you marketing really quick by just having you do this. If I could get you to take your consumer glasses off and put your marketing glasses on and visit 5 fast food restaurants, McDonald's, Whataburger, I don't care. And when you go in, really start to look. I want you to look at all of the details. I want you to look behind the counter. Look at the people. How are they dressed? Go to the restrooms. Look at the lighting. Do they have cracked ceiling tiles? Do they have dirty floors? I mean, keep peeling back the surface. 5 of them. And then you may or may not have this particular restaurant in your fast food restaurant in your hometown or city. Then I want you to go to Chick-fil-A. You can buy back Chick-fil-A? My pleasure, by the way. Yeah. They are awesome at what they do. And the great thing about Chick-fil-A is they never quit trying to get better. They just continue. You might not like them, you might not like their food. That's okay. You know, in marketing, we use the 80-20 rule. There's always these exceptions. But we can't worry about the exceptions. We now know how expensive money is. Okay? We have to worry about the rule. There's always going to be exceptions. We can't worry about that. We have to worry about the rule because that's where the dollars are spent. Okay, the second part about marketing is the 10 principles of 1 Hour MBA marketing. Number 1, you can't avoid marketing. You can't. You're going to do it. Are you going to do it great? Are you going to be great marketers? Are you going to do it better than competition? You know, most businesses don't even try. They don't even think about it. Number 2, everything we do in business is marketing. Everything. The sights, the sounds, the smells, the lights, our web pages, our social media, our employees, how we talk on the phone, how we treat customers. The list just goes on and on and on. It's all under marketing. Number 3, strive for excellence. Strive for excellence in marketing. It'll make a difference. I promise you that it will. Number 4, everybody has to buy into the company's marketing. They have to buy into the marketing philosophy. That has to be part of your DNA and culture. Number 5, it's all about the details. You have to concentrate and think about the details. Where you're going to, everything matters so much, just the tiniest stuff. You drive by a storefront and you see one of the lights out on the neon sign. There you go. Yeah, it makes me want to stop and run in there. Think about it. It's just the smallest stuff. Number 6, I should save this for last, actually. Everything we do will lead to our brand. Now, let me tell you something. A lot of people don't understand brands. They think brand is your logo or your trademark. No, it's not. The brand's not even what you say it is. The brand is what your customer says you are. That's what brand is. And everything we do will lead back to that. Number 7, give the customers what they want and a little bit more. Now, Debbie and I, we wanted to go try one of those Impossible burgers that they're advertising now, Whataburger, because we don't eat a lot of that kind of stuff. We don't eat a lot of burgers. And so we go in, there's this young lady behind the counter, and we walk up, and we just start chatting with her, very nice. We're being very nice to her. And Debbie recognizes her accent and asks, where are you from? Oh, Brazil. We have a lot of family and friends from Brazil. And so we ordered our Impossible burger, and when they gave it to us, there was a large fry that she had put in, just that little tiny extra, just something. Everybody can do something. I know when we had our sports card store, and this just happened by freak accident. I was actually on Mark's radio show, and we did a whole radio show just about the t-shirt, right? And so we had this cool logo. You'll see it, it's in the book, and that my brother designed. And we had t-shirts made. So we had a whole wall full of t-shirts, and we just got them in, and they were really cool. We had this little kid named Trey came in one day. He goes, "What? Can I have a t-shirt?" And I said, "I'm sorry, they're not for sale." He was devastated. That look of devastation on his face. He goes, "They're not for sale. You got hundreds of them, Nick." I said, "Trey, I tell you what, I want you to go over and pick one of those t-shirts out." I'm making this up. I mean, it's just coming off the top of my head. So Trey goes, gets a t-shirt, and he brings it back, and I said, "Give it to your mom." So they're standing in front of my cashier, and Mom's looking at me like, "Where are you going with this, Nick?" I said, "Trey, do you know what a good deed is?" He goes, "You mean doing something nice for somebody else?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'll tell you what, we'll let your mom keep this t-shirt, and you have 24 hours to go out and do a good deed. I don't care what it is, and I don't care who you do it for. Mom, dad, next door neighbor, grandmother, picking up leaves, picking up poop. It doesn't matter. As long as you think it up and do it on your own." And so then you can have your t-shirt. Now, Trey, when you come in wearing your t-shirt, you get a free grab bag. Every day you come in, you get one free grab bag. You get your report cards and make A's and B's and OC's. You get one free grab bag for your t-shirt and one free grab bag for your grades. You bring a friend in with you, you get a free grab bag for your t-shirt, and you get a free grab bag for bringing a friend in. Well, this just took off. I mean, it exploded. And our older customers, our adult customers, they would watch it, they would see what we were doing, and all that stuff was free. They just brought us endless amount of cards and stuff that we could put in these grab bags for these kids. And we carried that. It actually was the fabric of our brand. We did that for the next 27 years. Something tiny, something small. Give the customers what they want and a little bit extra. And you just, if you can't figure it out, sit down and brainstorm. Come up with that little bit extra, because it will make all of the difference in the world. Number 8, when I was teaching college, I would always tell my students, you can check your politics at the door. And let me tell you why. The target, the customer, doesn't care anything about you. It doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care about your income level. It does not care. The customer, the target, is a beast that has needs and wants. And our job in business is to satisfy that beast by using the appropriate blend of the marketing mix and these 10 principles of business. Number 9, it's all held together with customer service. Bad customer service there's no excuse for it, none. The only reason a business has bad customer service is bad management. That's it. There is no excuse, because customer service is free. It doesn't really cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. And number 10, we're going to talk about it in depth when we get to the secret, and that is hire great people. Hire great people. You can do anything if you hire great people. I know it's hard, I understand it, and we're going to talk about it a lot. Okay, you got it? Why are we in business?
Make money.
What number are we trying to increase? There's only 3 ways: increase, lower, increase,
Productivity.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. You make a business decision. Okay, does this increase sales? Does it lower costs? Does it increase productivity? Now, I know, I understand. Sometimes you got to be willing to lose the battle to win the war. You have to make an investment on the front end, or you have to make a short-term decision that might be a loss with the intentions of, hopefully, it turns out in the long run, making a profit. okay? But a lot of businesses don't even think about it. They don't even try. The 1 Hour MBA says the truth plus marketing plus economics, and this is where I always start to lose my students. Their eyes just start to roll back in their head when you talk about economics. And I know some of you are sitting there thinking, really, why in the world would I need to know about economics? And I'll tell you what, I'm getting ready to tell you. Who had econ in college? You guys remember those? Supply shifts, demand curves, scarcity, margins, and all this kind of stuff. Now, there's three things that every business needs to know about economics to be able to make really good business decisions. And we don't ever think about this. And if you don't, it'll come back and bite you if you're not careful. It really will. So I had to figure out a way to teach my students economics that just literally wouldn't bore them to death. I told you my wife's an artist, so I came up with this, and Debbie drew it. This is my bathtub of economics. It's not quite as messy as it looks. There's only three issues in economics that we really need to be concerned about. Only three. GDP, which stands for gross domestic product. And if you just think of the bathtub as our country, the United States, and the water in the bathtub is GDP. It's our economy. Right now it's $21 trillion, give or take a few billion. Now, we can't wrap our head around trillion. You can't do it. A million seconds is 12 days. A billion seconds, 32 years. A trillion seconds, Mastodons were roaming North America. That's how big a trillion is. And what you think about something else? When we're looking at it from economic terms, the Middle East, 5,000 years old, barter and trade. Asia, 5,000 years old. Europe, 3,000. The United States, 242 years. And we're the strongest, most dominating economy in the world. 21 trillion, the only one close, China, and theirs is 12 trillion. Think about how do we do that? We have great natural resources, I understand it, so does Mexico. So Canada, there's a lot of countries that have as many or more resources than we do. So how in the world, we're compared to the rest of the world, we're babies in diapers. We're just crawling. 240 compared to 5,000 or 3,000. What caused that? We're going to talk about it on the very last slide. The other two things, and this is where it really gets important. First of all, the reason you want to know about GDP, if the economy doesn't grow, it's going to hurt your business. Right now we're growing at a rate of about 2%. We really need to be 3 or 4, but that's just not going to happen, I don't think. The other two, inflation and employment. And here's why. Right now, our unemployment rate in the United States is 3.5%. It's low it's been since 1969. What does that mean to you? You want to hire great people? You're going to pay more for them. That's exactly what that means. And you need to hire great people. So you're going to have to pay more for great people when we're sitting at 3.5% unemployment. Little Johnny that's been slinging pizzas for $8, now he can go across the street and blend smoothies for $10. And that person making 10 can go make 12, and that one making 12 can go make 18. Yeah, it's an upward push. So, it's great news that our unemployment rate's 3.5, which means anybody who wants a job can have one, but that's the trade-off to it. That's what happens. It's going to cost us more. The other one is inflation. Who in here remembers buying anything in 1978? Yeah. You want to understand the evils of inflation? If you go buy a house today, $250,000, I think I was talking with a banker the other night, and it's like 4% or whatever, 30-year note without taxes and insurance payments, $900. Now rewind to 1978. This is the evils of inflation. You buy that same $250,000 house in 1978, it's going to cost you about $2,000 a month. Right? That's inflation. And the problem with both unemployment and inflation is they're like forest fires. Okay? When you start inflation, it's hard to stop. And inflation just eats up the purchasing power of your dollar. So yeah, every business needs to understand GDP, inflation, and employment. It's not that hard. You can find a site that you believe in, go read about it every day. Just an hour a day, 15 minutes a day to keep up with what's going on with the economic world that you live in that can impact your business. Now, if you look at the bathtub, there's wizards behind the curtain, by the way, that control our economy. On the right side of the bathtub, over here, you'll see it's the Federal Reserve using monetary policy, but this is how simple it is. Economics truly is three issues controlled, impacted by two separate groups. The Federal Reserve, also known as the Fed. There's only four things that they can do. There's only four: to increase GDP, hold employment down, unemployment down, and inflation. They can increase and decrease the interest rates, and they can increase and decrease the money supply. That's it. That's it. It's all you really need to know about economics. Leave everything else up to the economists. The other side is the federal government using fiscal policy. They can increase, decrease spending, increase, decrease taxes, and increase, decrease regulations. So let me give you an example of how it works in the real world. So you're going to be my manufacturing manager, okay? You report to me, you're going to be my accountant, all right? And I want to build a new hospital. It's going to cost, I don't know, how much it cost, Mark? 1.5? 2 million? Doesn't matter. $1.5 million. I need to go borrow the money. 20 million? Yeah, we'll keep the math simple. So I go to my accountant, say, hey, how much is this going to cost to build this? You come back and you say, 20 million. I say, 20 million? Okay, fine. I got to go to my bank and borrow the money, all right? So I go to Chase. Chase goes, Nick's not a problem. Be more than happy to lend you 20 million. I said, awesome. What's the interest rate? He says, 6%. I'm going, what? 6%? Are you kidding me? He goes, hey, look, I get my money from the Fed. You know, why is he in business? Make money, right? He's got to make money, so he borrows it from the Fed at 4, and he gives it to me at 6. I go back to my accountant. So would you crunch these numbers for me, please? Can we do this? 20 million at 6%? And he crunches the numbers. He goes, no, we can't do that. It would be a total loss. We'd never recover our capital on that. So, the problem is I was going to hire you to build this new hospital. Turnkey. You're going to do it all. Lay the concrete, put in the steel. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to take that profit that you made off that, and you're going to buy a car from this gentleman. What kind of car you want? Beamer? Sure. Okay. You're going to buy a Beamer, and you're going to take that commission from buying that Beamer, and you're going to book a trip to Hawaii through her travel agency. Yeah. Okay? So, you guys are doing really well. Got a Beamer out of the deal, got a trip to Hawaii. There's just one problem. We can't build it. It's too expensive. The feds know this. So they sat down at their quarterly meeting and go, man, did you hear about Mr. Nick and his hospital? So they cranked the interest rates down. The next thing you know, I get a call from Chase. Hey, Nick, you know that money I was going to lend to you, 20 million? Yeah. Well, I can let you have it for 3.5%, 4%. I go back to my accountant. Can you crunch these numbers for me? He goes, oh, yeah, we can do that now. So that's awesome. I issue the PO, you build a building, you hire all those people, you get your Beamer, you take your commission, you book your trip to Hawaii. Thank you. All going, right? That's all you need to know to be successful in business about economics. Pay attention to the unemployment rate because it's going to cost you if you don't. Pay attention to the inflation rate because it's going to cost you if you don't. Pay attention to GDP growth. Got it? Okay. This is one that says the truth plus marketing plus economics plus the secret. This is the heart and soul of the 1 Hour MBA. And that's a little acronym that I call ADEA. And it stands for Attitude, Determination, Effort, Education, and Appearance. We want to hire ADEAs. Now we know two things. Unemployment rate's 3.5%. We're going to pay more money for better employees, and we're going to pay a lot of money for ADEAs. Make sense? Yeah. Well, when we start paying more money for employees, what's going to happen to our net income? It's going to go down. Why are we in business? Make money. Now we know there's only three things you can do. Increase sales, lower increase. Okay, but hopefully the idea is that if we are willing to hire ADEAs, it'll make up for itself in productivity. It really will. You know, productivity is nothing more than hours of output divided by hours of input. That's all it is. And it goes back to why are we in business? Increase sales, lower costs, increase productivity. You have employees that come in every day with that mindset. I know I make it sound easy, and I know it's not. I know it's really, really hard. But here's why. We're lazy. Yeah, we are. We don't like to interview. It's a pain in the butt. It really is. Let's be honest with each other. Oh, maybe the first one's okay, but you start interviewing 2, 3, 4 people, it's boring. You just want to get through it, and that's where we make the mistake. You know, I have a friend of mine that opened a payroll software company in Dallas, started with nothing, grew it into a really incredible business, sold it. And I was telling him my theory about Adia, and we were having dinner one night, and he just blows me off. He goes, yeah, right. Well, 2 or 3 months goes by, and we're back having dinner again. He said, hey, you know that Adia thing you were telling me about? I said, yeah. He goes, man, you're right. He said, because I hired a receptionist on the first interview, and she turned out to be a workman's comp professional. Yeah, bouncing from company to company. She'd work for 2 or 3 weeks and pick up that box and hurt her back and go file that claim. And, you know, it's just, I know it's hard, but the reason is we hire on the first interview. That's insanity. 3 interviews, minimum 3 interviews, and let me tell you why. On the first interview, everybody's on their best behavior. They're dressed nice, they're looking good, they're choosing their words correctly. On the second interview, they start to let their guard down a little bit, become a little more relaxed. They think, hey, I got a shot at this job. On the third interview, you can pretty much get them to tell you what you need to know. You know, in my book, and you'll read it, and there's tons of questions, how to ask questions that will tell you about attitude and tell you about determination. You know, we have to be able to learn to ask that. You're not always going to win, I know that, but we have to reduce our risk when we're hiring people. It's going to make or break our business. It really is, because every one of them are brand ambassadors. I don't know where attitude comes from. I don't know where determination comes from, and I don't know where effort comes from. I have no idea. It might be parenting, maybe raising. In my case, it was necessity. I had 2 choices in life. I could be poor or not be poor. Well, I chose not to be poor. I just had to work a little harder than other people did, you know? And so the best way that I can explain a person with attitude, determination, and effort is somebody that wakes up every day, works really, really hard, and just be nice. That's it. That's really the secret. Education. I'm not particularly talking about college education. I'm talking about, do you guys know everything about your industry? Do your employees know? You know, when I would interview somebody on the very first interview, I'd say, hey, what can you tell us about our industry? What can you tell us about our business? And if they couldn't answer that question on the first interview, that's okay. I don't hold that against them. But if I ask them again on the second interview, and they didn't have the attitude, determination, and effort to at least Google it and find out, there's no way they're working for me. That resume's filed under moron. We're calling it a day. Right? Appearance. Oh my goodness. Appearance applies to the business and to the employees. I walked in my store one day, and my employee who had worked for me for years, he knew our philosophy about this. I walked in and said, Jim, you can go home. He goes, oh man, are you really? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, okay. Came in wearing a wrinkled shirt. Yeah. He's representing, now you might think, oh Nick, that's no big deal. Yes, it is. It's the tiniest details. It's the small stuff. He chose to represent my brand in a wrinkled shirt that I bought for him. Really? Now, Debbie, she hates me to tell this story when it comes to Adia.
You're going to tell it anyway. I
am. So we go to the movies one day, and we pay our $15 to get in, and we pay our $250 for popcorn and Coke. And there's this young man behind the counter. He's about 19 years old. And we do the exchange. There's people behind me, Debbie standing next to me, and I just stand there, and she knows, oh no, here it comes. I said, finally the guy goes, after an extended period of time, he goes, what? I said, young man, I worked really hard for that money. You didn't have the raising, the decency, the manners, the wherewithal, or anything just to say thank you. But it's not your fault. And I said, hey, Debbie, this guy's a loser. Debbie goes, don't call him a loser. I said, what do you mean call him? Call him undesirable. Okay, he's an undesirable loser. But you know what? It's not his fault. It really isn't. It's the person that hired him. You know, oh, it's Nick, it's a 19-year-old kid at the movie theater. No, it's your brand. It's your brand behind that counter. I mean, how hard is it to be nice, right? Okay. Oh, she don't like that story. She loves this one. So I'm in my office at home. I'm working. She comes in my office and she goes, hey, I want to go buy a rug. I'm going to go buy a rug. She goes, why don't you go with me? I'm going, oh, man, are you serious? Beat me with a rock. So Debbie had done her due diligence. We get in the car. We drive over to the store. And now you'll understand it so much better because you know the math. She knew exactly what she wants. She finds the rugs. Now, this company was a really nice store. And I've told this story so many times. I think this rug's now up to $10,000 cost, but really like $600 or $700, $800. They took this undesirable and put this guy out on the floor. And he's standing at a computer. And I know what he was doing. I'm sure he was standing there taking inventory. He was dirty. He had on a white T-shirt that looked like it hadn't been washed in 2 or 3 days. Debbie walks up to him. He's on the computer. And Debbie said, excuse me, sir, could you tell me where this size rug is? And he goes, well, it's on the bottom shelf. Didn't look up at her, didn't say anything to her, didn't recognize her. And I looked at her and said, undesirable loser? And she goes, yeah, let's go home. So we go home, she buys it online. Now get your calculators out. I have no idea what profit margin this store operates off of, but we'll just make it up. Let's say it's 40%, and that rug cost $800. Take 800 divided by 0.40. How much? How much? $2,000. Because they chose to put that guy in front of their customer. They chose to let that guy represent their brand. That's what they have to do in revenue to make up for that loss of sale to that rug to Debbie. Yeah. Think about the impact of that. If we run our businesses thinking that way, your life will change. Okay, the truth plus economics equals the reward. Now, before I tell you what the reward is, let me tell you something. I want you to take your faith, I want you to take your family, and take your health. Set them over to the side. They're much, much, much more important than the reward. But let me tell you about the reward. If our business and our employees have a DIA, and if we understand the economic world in which we live, and if we apply the principles of marketing, and if we increase the net income of the business, then both our business and our employees will get the reward. And the reward's going to determine the house you live in, the clothes you wear, the car you drive, the school your kids go to, the college your kids are going to go to, and the retirements you're going to have. And the reward is assets minus liabilities equals net worth. If you add up everything you own that you can sell right now and get cash for, those are your assets. You subtract from that everything you owe, those are your liabilities. What's left over is your net worth plus your credit rating and your signature. Good so far? Why are we in business? Make money, you bet. What number are we trying to increase? Net income before tax. Now, the reason I don't use net income after taxes, there's just not much we can do about taxes. You can vote, lobby, and hire a really cool accountant named Swifty. But there's just not much we can do. All right. So I use net income before tax because employees can't impact that. We know we can't do it if we do not understand and apply the principles of marketing. We can't do that if we don't understand the blank world in which we live. Economic world in which we live. And no, we can't do any of that if our employees and our businesses do not have a deal. Okay, once we get that money, what are we going to do with it? Now, you might want to take photographs of this because this isn't in the book. I don't know why I didn't put it in there. I just should have. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. So I was running a manufacturing plant. I was working in a manufacturing plant. I was actually a materials manager for this company in Shawnee, Oklahoma, a little town about 30,000 people. And I decided that I was going to start becoming big-time real estate. The only problem is I didn't have enough money to buy nice houses, so my houses weren't so great. But I met this guy that worked for the Oklahoma Housing Authority. And he goes, "Hey Nick, if you'll just bring them up to these standards, we'll take them over. You don't have to do anything. We'll fix it, or we'll rent them. We'll collect the rent. We'll send you a check. Now, if something goes wrong, you got to take care of it." This guy's name was Chris, and we actually became friends. He was really good. He was about 25. I was probably 27, 28 at the time. And one day we were having lunch, and I said, "Can I ask you a personal question?" He said, "What, Nick?" I said, "Is that the only suit you own?" He said, "Yeah." "Oh, man, you only own one suit?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Your car?" I said, your headlights held on with duct tape." He goes, "Yeah, I know, it's bad, isn't it?" Yeah. I'm going, "What's going on? You have a good job." And he drops this bomb on me. He said, "Ever since I was 14 years old, I've saved half of everything I've ever made." Oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. There's no way. Well, the oil economy just tanked in Oklahoma back in this time. I got rid of all my houses. I had one left. I was in Tulsa. I had to go back to check on this house. And I went to look this guy up, of course, long before the internet. And I call him up, and he answers the phone. And I said, "Hey, you want to go have lunch?" He said, "Yeah, let's go to our old place." Like, "Still open?" He goes, "Yeah." So I'm sitting there in the booth waiting for this guy. He pulls up in a brand new Corvette. He gets out, he's got shorts, flip-flop, ball cap, look like Paul, right? And comes in the restaurant and sits down. And I said, "Goodness gracious, man, what do you?" He said, "I'm retired." I said, "You're retired? How old are you?" 35. "Why did you do that?" And he goes, "You remember when you asked me about my suit and my car? Yeah, I told you I saved half of everything I ever made." "Yeah." He goes, "I also invested it." So it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. Don't pay interest, earn it. Don't do it. You know, everything in economics is a trade-off. Everything in economics is a trade-off. What's good over here is bad over here. It's another reason I don't care about politics. Okay? You know, in 1960s, we had a president named Lyndon Johnson. He said one of the most profound statements about politics. He said, "Politics is nothing more than whose ox is getting gored." Okay? And so if you're a young person, you want low interest rates because you're buying houses and cars and school loans. But if you're an older guy like me, I've got my money in Chase, and he won't pay me anything for it because the rates are so low. It's just a trade-off. My ox is getting gored. If the interest rates go up, I'm making more money, your ox is getting gored. That's just how it works. Everything's a trade-off. There's no exceptions to that rule, ever. Don't pay interest, earn it. If it's too good to be true, it is. Just remember this. Don't ever forget this. The big print giveth and the small print taketh away. Okay? Think about that. It's who you know. Network. Well, with LinkedIn, we don't have too much trouble with that, but I would still give it more of a personal touch. You want to build that network wide, and you want to build it deep, and you want to build it with people that can help you in the future. You never know who your boss is going to be, so treat everybody accordingly. I learned that one the hard way. So I'm in Shawnee with this manufacturing plant, and they brought in an outside consultant and to put in a new inventory control system, and we didn't get along at all. We fought constantly. So my boss, the vice president, quits, takes another job, and I know I'm going to get that job. I know I am. I mean, I'm already spending the money, people are already congratulating me, right? I get a phone call from the president, he said, "I'm coming down to see you." Yes. Comes in the next morning, he goes, "You don't get that job." So what are you talking about? Who gets it? "You know that outside consultant that I didn't get along with? And here's my new boss." Yeah. And he goes, Tom came in, his name was Tom, he came in, he goes, "Okay, Nick, I'm not going to fire you, but I'm going to stick you on an airplane and let you travel the world and negotiate our contracts." So that worked out real well for me, other than you get tired of traveling. The road to bankruptcy is paved with pride. You know, it's an example of a story where Debbie and I sacrificed and did without, and our competitors weren't willing to do that. The two most dangerous weapons in the world is the human mouth and the keyboard. I am so grateful I did all my stupid stuff before Facebook. Get rich slowly. There's no get rich quick. Forget about it. Okay? You know who the target market is for the lottery? Poor people. It really is. That's their target. They make no bones about it. Protect your credit like you protect your family. Develop income streams. You need to understand, not in depth like an accountant, but you need to understand income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet. You really do. Every manager, really, as far as I'm concerned, employees with the DIAs, they need to know these. It's not that hard. The truth is just an abbreviated P&L. It's really all you need to know. Leave the rest of it to the accountants. Have a diversified portfolio. In other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you have a 401k program, don't put everything in it. Spread it around a little bit. And I told you that Our country is 242 years old, and we're the strongest economy in the world. And the reason for that is free market capitalism, and we need to protect that. With that said, guys, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. I appreciate it. I hope you got something out of it.